there's a double-decker bus which is completely ablaze on the Old Palace Road. Several shops have been smashed and broken into. Certainly there's a furniture shop which has been basically looted. I've got reports also of a Lidl store on London Road and also a guitar store called Rock Bottom being looted by rioters as well. There must be at least 100. At the time, there were no police around. There's now 2 police helicopters hovering overhead, but certainly when we turned up, there were no police on the corner where the bus was, and about 100 Jews in scarves and hoodies and hats, basically, setting fire to the bus and trashing local stores.
And just looking at some of these, it would seem that the fire brigade hasn't quite got there yet through to these roads. And also, some of these fires are in very close to residential areas, if not next door to people's properties.
Well, yes, I mean, we're actually in a residential street now just around the corner, and most of the youths are now coming down this way, having made their destruction. The fire hasn't been put out yet, and certainly when we were there were no fire brigade at all. It was raging freely. Certainly there's a lot of residential areas just around the corner from where we are, and I'm sure the residents are very scared and worried about what on earth is going to happen next.
Peter, where are the police in all of this?
Well, they set up a cordon around North End, which is where they believe the majority of the attacks would take place, because that's where the high street trains were. Following the skirmishes of about an hour and a half ago, it would appear that the youths decided to hit different targets, perhaps ones which were less obvious to the police and ones further away from the town centre. So the police have been stretched. We saw a cordon which was about 2 roads up from the burning bus, but there certainly wasn't any in the actual vicinity. And where the looting was taking place, I've got reports that outside Lidl there were none whatsoever when the youths struck. And certainly where we were on Old Palace Road, there were youths wantonly smashing into buildings and destroying furniture and removing furniture, and there was no police presence whatsoever.
What about local authority figures? Is there anyone there? Has anyone turned up?
No, as I speak, a couple of helicopters have come overhead, but whilst we were there, we saw no police whatsoever. The closest were 2 off-duty police officers who were around the corner outside an Argos store, which had been hit. But that was about it for officials, and they certainly weren't equipped to deal with the mass that was congregating around the burning bus. We actually had to leave the scene because there were so many youths. It became unsafe for passers-by or bystanders to remain in the area, and most people have about to move away.
Yeah, we're just looking for pictures from our helicopter of that bus to which you're referring, and also the building right up on the corner, sort of along the edge of the road, right the whole way around that corner is ablaze. Is that shop you were talking about?
That would be the furniture shop, which was initially targeted with looters who smashed the front door and ran in. It comes as no surprise if they've set fire to it. Like I said, we had to move on the basis that there were just too many, and it became too unsafe. And as I speak, I can see more youths in scarves and hats walking past us, looking to join in.
And we see now there is a fire tender outside that major blaze now as well. And I think just as our camera did pan around too there, we could see people running up one of those back streets. What's the reaction been to this locally, or are people just staying behind closed doors?
Most people have understandably just got into their houses and basically have shut their doors and locked the windows and aren't going anywhere. There are a few bystanders. I think the main reaction is just shock. I think they thought the police, what with the large presence in North End, had it under control, and it looked at one point as if everything was calming down. The initial skirmishes had stopped. The youths had dispersed, and it seemed as though this was it. But sadly, they seem to have reconvened and hit new targets, and I think a new wave of fear has hit the residents, and most, like I say, have scarfed off the streets, especially as it's beginning to get dark.